Lords and ladies, it's your girl Cupcake Kavara again. Ironically, I get more time due to being off of work a little more often due to the pandemic, one of two. And a lot has happened in the world in general since my last video has gone up. I have actually recorded the information for the next video or two in that series. That's why, and my hair will look different probably in my next video. But excuse me, I've been quiet for quite some time, mainly because I'm a bit of an empath, whether you believe that or not. I'm not here to debate that. I don't care. I know what I am. Picking up on a lot of things going on in the world, and it brought up a lot of things in my own life, and I just want to take a moment to talk about them. I'm not here to tell you about the super racist things that I've had to put up with and sometimes still put up with in my life, just even trying to do my job. But I'd like to talk about some more quieter, insidious things that people say and or do, and or I have had the repercussions of growing up like that. So in my free time, I have been largely at home, doing what I really enjoy doing research. I picked up Persona 5 Royale. I've been loving that. And also in the midst of that, I've started doing a lot of shadow work. If you don't know what shadow work is, I don't necessarily want to take this entire video to tell you what it is. There are plenty of other videos that will spell it out for you. The easy version of it is the fact that I did a lot of introspection, a lot of thought about who I am, where I came from, what caused me to be who I am, what unconscious bias do I have, what unconscious roadblocks I have holding me up. And one of which is kind of insidious, especially in the African American women community in the States, and probably in other places too. If you live in another country and you happen to be black or of African descent, let me know if you have these experiences. But so, as I mentioned a while back, I grew up in a family of women. There weren't necessarily any men readily available in my life outside of, say, church setting, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's more of a reality. Did I miss it? Not really, actually. But we were always told, get your education, make sure you get your grades. You have to make, cross all your T's, dot all your I's. You can't allow any room for mistakes, really. There was this level of perfection that had to be had. I remember that the first time I ever got anything lower than like a 95, I cried. Because there's this really strong perfectionist tendency that kind of develops because I had to be on honor roll. I had to do everything like that because just because I lived in a certain area, just because of a certain color skin, you had to prove them all wrong at all times. You can't show any weakness, which is where the strong female stereotype came from. You have to be smarter. You have to know. You have to know. You have to research. You have to know. And it creates almost two dichotomies. On one side, it's the fact that I have to do it right, which is honestly one of the reasons that's held me up with this channel. I have felt that perfectionism drive me down every time. I realize that my procrastination and busyness is not a manifestation of carelessness. It's a manifestation of perfectionism, and every time I put something up, there's something wrong with it, and it's very insidious. And I've been battling with that a lot. That strong black female stereotype. It's not that we have the option. That is one of the reasons I took a long time to say anything, because crying for a black female is never seen the same way as crying for a white female, at least especially in the States. You're not seen as vulnerable and deserving of any type of help sometimes. You're seen as crocodile tears, or you're just doing it for attention, or things like that. And honestly, sometimes that manifests within our responses to tears, because you kind of become desensitized to it. You kind of come to the point where it's like, what difference does it make if I cry or you cry? They're going to believe you anyway. You being someone of lighter color. And digging those up and dealing with them and facing them has been hard. This need to be approachable, especially since apparently my neutral face is the resting bitch face. Tainted almost everything I did. I didn't want to offend anyone. I didn't want to upset anybody. Because I'm already a quiet person. I already don't interact with people a lot. And the instant anything about race came up, you're immediately shut down with some sorry little fake and misrepresented statistic. And basically a commentary about how it makes me uncomfortable and I don't want to talk about it. So of course, what does that immediately do for me, or really any other African American woman or any black person in general who hears that from someone they thought as a friend? Fine. I may still be your quote unquote friend, but that's a huge part of me you'll never get to know. And frankly, that becomes a huge part of you I never want to know. Because the reality is, it's always in the back of your mind that God forbid something happens between me and the law, you're just going to throw me under the bus. If you don't want to hear what I have to go through, you'll probably side with them in the ultimate long run. So therefore, if I don't interact with you enough, if I don't get really personable with you, if I don't tell you my dark and deep secrets, because frankly, you've already proven that you don't want to know what happens to me. I'd rather have somebody who'd have my back. I'll be nice, the things you do are great, but there will always be a wall. Oh, but that's not fair. No, it is fair. It is fair. You don't want to hear the things that make you uncomfortable? I live with that uncomfortable every day. Because I realized from my shadow work these past few weeks that a lot of my own shortcomings, my own, the things that I was doing to myself was a result of this influence, was a result of this perfectionist tendency, this result of I don't want to be perceived as this or that. And frankly, I'm tired. I'm tired of policing, or I'm tired of censoring myself because I want to be liked, because we all know that a black girl who says her mind is suddenly seen as angry. No, I'm done. I'm tired. I've done it for decades and I'm done. I was already getting done before, but now, in light of all this, as America is forced to look at its own self in a mirror, to do its own shadow work, yeah, I'm pretty much done. And I'm done making myself palatable, if that makes sense. It's not that I am not a kind person, or it's not that I'm not quiet. I am naturally those things. However, I have read a lot, I've researched a lot. I enjoy doing those things. And there's no point in me toning it down. If I want to nerd out, I'm going to nerd out. If I want to be upset at something that happened in an anime or in a game or something, I'm going to be upset at it. I don't have to censor myself because people are going to write off what I say just because it's said with passion. And just that's their problem. That's their problem for seeing things through their messed up filter. And I'm done. I am not going to be held in societal chains simply because society wants to paint me in some sort of light that isn't who I am. And I'm not going to let honestly, I'm not going to let friends do that to me either. And they don't necessarily intentionally do it, but it does sometimes happen. Is that I've been thinking quite a bit. And I grew up in a house that made sure that I understood my history, the country's history, and I was never one to just buy into what the textbooks said, because frankly, many textbooks are frankly garbage. They try and make things look nicer than it really was. They try and cherry pick the history, and I wonder in 50 or so years, are they going to try and do it again? There's a lot to process. And if you are serious about trying to become an ally, or if you're serious about trying to become a better person, you realize that these things are going on in your head and you don't want that to be the easiest place to start. Sit down and listen. But the reality, you could have done that before. We welcome you, but understand that that's part of it. You have to face that shadow part. That part of you you don't like, that part of you that makes you uncomfortable, that part of you that you realize is there, but if I ignore it, everybody will just accept me. Well, that time is kind of past, where families are being split up because part of them are racist. They're kicking children out of their house because the kids aren't. We grew up on Avatar: The Last Airbender, and several other things that are extremely socially aware, and literally talk about situations just like this all the time. And you want to know why people aren't going to tolerate that anymore. That's just a story. No. If you think fiction doesn't tell you stories of reality just through a different lens, why are you on my page? Like, really? It has been, for my Facebook friends, a great culling, and it's been very freeing. And no, I don't have to explain everything. And if you are like me, and you have felt this drive of perfectionism, you have finally kind of got a breakthrough through that, and you're realizing that I just value my time and my freedom of expression more than my censorship, it's okay. I promise the universe will bring you more and better people. I've already turned my light off, so, well, in conclusion, I do feel better after making this. Wasn't in a dark place, but there was a lot to think about. Turn my light off. There's a lot to think about, and I wanted to get it out. I have a better understanding of myself. I have a better understanding of... Once you get a better understanding of yourself, it's it's kind of like I've realized people can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves. If you haven't done the shadow work, if you haven't looked into yourself, if you haven't excavated the uncomfortable stuff, they will never be ready to face the uncomfortable things. And people can stay like that for the rest of their lives. Age has nothing to do with emotional intelligence. Age has nothing to do with actual maturity. If you can comprehend that and absorb that, it will save you a lot of headache in your life. So keep that in mind. If you see somebody and I delete their comment, it's not my problem. That's for them to do the work. I don't have time. See you, lords and ladies, later.